Hello, my true crime lovelies. How are you? I have a very special guest for you guys today. I have Miss Ada coming in to talk to us about Karen Reed.
Stop making your way to 34th Fairview Road for an unresponsive male party in the snow. CPR is in progress.
A bleak discovery during Saturday's blizzard. An off-duty Boston police officer found unresponsive in the snow outside this Canton home. The Boston Police Department identifying him as Officer John O'Keefe, a 16-year veteran of the department. The Norfolk County District Attorney says the circumstances surrounding O'Keefe's death are unclear and remain under investigation. We're told he had been in the cold for some period of time before he was found. O'Keefe was pronounced dead at the hospital. Neighbors say it's unusual for something like this to happen here.
It's a wonderful neighborhood. It's a great neighborhood. We've been here for 27 years, so it's a great neighborhood.
O'Keefe's death casting a dark shadow over Boston Police headquarters. Police Commissioner Greg Long saying in part, John will be greatly missed by his friends and colleagues here at the Boston Police Department as we send our heartfelt condolences to his family and loved ones during this difficult time. Canton's police chief echoing the commissioner's condolences, tweeting out, our thoughts and prayers are with the deceased officer, his family, and the entire Boston Police Department. And we do know from the DA that an autopsy was performed at some point today, but as of right now, no details from that have been released. We are live in Canton tonight. Victoria Price, 7 News 19.
Let me bring her to the stage. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Awesome. I want to let people know where to find you before we get started. So I know you have a YouTube channel. Ada K is the channel. Are there any other socials that you want to let people know where to find you?
Right now I'm there. I'm on Facebook,
Okay. All right. And I'll put all those in the description below. All right. Before we get into Karen Reed, I'm going to remember to run my intro because I often forget that. We'll do that. And then I will see you on the other side. All the things right with the world. Thank you. All righty. So I have not covered Karen Reed over here. I've watched a little bit of it. I know there's a lot going on. I want to give, everybody a little bit of a taste of what's happening here. So let's start with the background, because I know the trial, there's another trial coming out, but the Commonwealth claims Karen is the villain. She claims, Karen Reed, there's a cover-up. So let's go back to the beginning of in better times when Karen Reed and John O'Keefe were, in love and happy and in a relationship, and then how we got to here. Can you tell us about our main characters?
Yeah. This is just the notes from the first trial. Every tab is a day. I kid you not. This trial is insane.
Wow.
Insane. Absolutely insane. Okay, so Karen Reed, I'm going to give you a little bit of background. She is a financial professional. She's worked in various roles within the financial sector, and she was also a professor. She is described as kind of a very dedicated, brilliant, attention to detail, hardworking individual. As you can tell by her dress and her demeanor in court, she is very, very, I would say she's OCD, but she's very involved with her trial. I recently watched an interview with her and her attorney, and she knows this case inside and out. She is working this case 24/7. She no longer has a job. She lost her job. That's Karen Reed. John O'Keefe was a Boston police officer, very committed to his job, and he's very respected. Now, he gained a little bit of notoriety when his brother-in-law died. Then his sister died within a very short time of each other of health issues.
Oh.
He basically adopted and took custody or became the guardian of those children.
Oh.
So when he died, they are now with another family member. I mean, these children have had really bad family. Yeah.
How many children are there?
There was a boy and a girl. They were in their early teens. when this happened, or preteen when this had happened. So he was thought to be a good cop. There was nothing bad to say about John O'Keefe. Now, the two of them met years ago, and then they separated, and then they reconnected
Oh,
for a couple
wow.
of years before this had happened. So they've been together for a couple of years. They were very close and loving, but towards his death, they began having a little bit of conflict and friction in the relationship because Karen Reed would do things like take the kids out for ice cream and kind of spoil them a little bit. Now, she is not a mother. She didn't plan on having children. Now, she has health issues. She has Crohn's disease, and
Oh,
she's had a colostomy and had the reversal. It almost took her. And this is important because one of the key players in this trial, called her a blowhole.
ooh.
Yeah, it got really bad, and all kind of other names. But anyway, so she's gone through a lot physically. And when she started dating John, it was like she became this mother figure to these children that weren't even John's children. And they had disagreements on parenting or caring for the children and that kind of stuff, which put a wedge in their relationship. She
I
kind of
bet.
feeling like a babysitter.
Yikes.
That's kind of the background of where their relationship is. Now, she allegedly got jealous because there was a ex-girlfriend that lived just a street over or two from where the accident happened. So, was that liberty or justice?
That is justice. Oh my God. She just woke up out of nowhere. So it sounds like, I mean, for all intents and purposes, they were a family unit. Like they were together. It wasn't just like a sort of fly by the seat of my pants. I met you at a bar and we're hanging out, having a good time kind of.
No. She would stay there, spend the night with him so many nights a week, and then she'd have to go back because of her job so many nights a week. So she was back and forth a lot, but she was highly involved in the lives of the children.
I love that. The night in question where everything happened, the Commonwealth has a theory. The defense says something else happened. I've seen some of it. I don't think the state or the Commonwealth proved their case. And obviously there was a mistrial, so the jury didn't think so either. But what is it? Because I've seen different things where like he was hit by her car. She says she hit him with the car. Then she says she didn't say that. Can you kind of give us the lay of the land of what happened that night?
Sure, definitely. See, the Commonwealth alleges on the night of January 29th of 22, after the night of heavy drinking, which started at the C.F. McCarthy's Bar and Grill in Canton, where she met him and a couple of the other key players. And then they left the C.F. McCarthy's and went to the Waterfall Bar and Grill. Now, Karen Reed initially dropped him off at the house. They had a disagreement in the car, and she says or alleges that she dropped him off at the house. Now, it's interesting because there's several stories, because some people say they saw her car there, other people say they didn't. And where her car was placed when they saw it doesn't match up with anybody. So there's a lot of conflict in there between the witnesses. It's alleged by the Commonwealth that he got out of the car. She was angry. She's backed up. I'm sorry. I do sign language. I do with my hands. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Your nails look lovely.
I had something with Court TV, so I had to go get my nails done.
Love it.
Anyway, so they're accusing her of backing up at 24 miles an hour over about 60 feet and backing up into him and then speeding off and leaving him to die in the snow. There's a lot of problems with this. Now, my mother has the same vehicle that she had.
Okay.
This chick went and did her homework, and at his height, because my son is 6'5", I'm 5'9". I have a friend that's about 6 foot, and I kind of looked at where everybody's height was on the vehicle, and the bumper sticks out a little further than the light. So the first part of the car that's going to hit him most likely would be the bumper. But even if his elbow had hit the car, it would have been just above the light, not below or at the light. So there's a discrepancy over that. There were no bruises found on his body except for his head. He had black eyes. He had a laceration on the back of the head. He had brain trauma. The scratches on his arm, the Commonwealth are saying came from the tail light. Well, Karen Reed, when she got up at about 4 in the morning, between 4 and 5, and he wasn't home, panicked because he's never been home.
Right.
She tends to be one of these kind of women, I believe, that when she goes, she doesn't go from 1 to 5 to 7 to 10. She just goes 1 to 10. And so she panics. She backs out of his house into his driveway. So when his car, way it's parked, when she backs out, she clips the back of his car. And people go, no, she didn't hit it. Well, when you look at the video, you see the tire do this little bump. And the tail light on the side passenger that she clipped his car with, you can tell is damaged when she leaves. Because
Her tail light.
Her tail light is
Okay.
on the Ring camera at John's home.
Okay.
But it's not totally broken up and fallen apart. A lot of people are calling it glass. It's really a plastic, a very strong plastic. And in looking at my mother's vehicle and looking at that, and I said, Mom, may I do that? She goes, sure. It's Alexa, I can handle it. I kind of really, I really hit it. And I'm thinking, Now, I, in my early life, did body work on cars. And I have a little bit of experience with this. And I'm telling you, there's no way his elbow would have caused that damage. So that's their scenario. Karen Reed's side is saying that she dropped him off at the house and something happened with the people in the house and John, and they dumped his body on the side of the road. So a snowplow would come through and find him.
Oh.
And so people would think a snowplow hit him.
Oh. Okay.
Well, we've got some snowplow driver drama. That's maybe another show, but yeah, the snowplow company that's involved is owned by a Canton PD officer.
Oh, so that's where the police cover-up is coming from? Because I know I've heard allegations of cover-up.
Oh, there's a lot.
Okay.
One of the things that was slightly brought up in the first trial, I hope they really dive into it in the second one, is that a snow driver saw a person down between 3 and 4-ish in the morning. I have to go back and look at my notes in the morning, and called it in to dispatch. Their dispatch is supposed to call 911. When he got back to the office, he said, so what happened to the person down in the snow? And they said, they didn't call 911. No call was made. And if he ever brought it up again, he'd never work in this town again.
What? Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on with that. But basically, the defense is saying that she's being framed and that they believe he was unalived inside the house of Brian Albert and that his body was placed outside to make it look like an accident. The other thing is they're suggesting is that the cover-up is a law enforcement or law officials because the way they treated the scene and everything they did was so against basic policy and procedure. And on top of it, Albert, the homeowners, let me do this because I don't want to get confused. It's very easy to get confused because there's a lot of
That's a lot of people. Yeah.
There's a lot of Brians. It was Brian Albert's home with Nicole Albert, which is the wife, and they have a son named Brian Albert Jr. and a daughter, Caitlin, and the dog, Chloe. Here's where the dog comes in.
Oh, okay.
The fence is saying the dog bit him. The prosecution is saying it's a taillight damage to his arm. but the damage is up here and here. And again, as a first responder, I've seen a lot. I've seen dog bites. I was a groomer in my earlier life, been bit a lot, got the scars to prove it. I took the picture of the autopsy where the arm is extended and I bent it like this. I cut it in half and I bent it. To me, it looks like puncture here and smaller punctures here, and it comes in like this. So
Okay.
that is what they're arguing, is that somehow Chloe the dog got involved in the fight with the people in the house and John. And he ended up in the snow and dying.
Oh, wow.
Was never seen from again. The cops went in the house early that morning after all the stuff was taken care of in the yard, didn't search the house, didn't get a search warrant, and never saw the dog. Now,
Wow.
about 6:37, sometime, once again, I haven't looked at, there's so much. I got to
No,
go.
it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. We're getting the gist of it.
Jennifer McCabe, who is the sister to Nicole Albert, so she's a sister-in-law, runs into the house upstairs screaming, Nicole, wake up. This is like 2 or 3 hours after the police had been there all early morning, and they didn't see or hear a thing, but their bedroom is facing the street, and those lights had to lit it up like Christmas on crack. So
Right.
Jennifer comes in screaming. Well, Chloe was a dog that barked and kind of was aggressive, an alert dog.
Right.
It's a German Shepherd, and it's alleged she had some police dog training and she flunked out.
Uh-oh.
But that dog wasn't there. The dog between midnight and 6 a.m. disappeared. Where's the dog?
Yeah, where did it go?
Shortly after this, the dog attacked a woman, 2 women, and another dog in the street. Attacked them because Chloe got in a fight with the dog in the street, and the women were trying to separate it, and they got bit, and they rehomed Chloe. Now, the new evidence is Chloe's been found, and they've got a bite mark from Chloe. They took bite mold from Chloe. No, Chloe had to be put under anesthesia and all kind of risk, and it's multiple years later. Dogs' teeth, especially in mature dogs, which it is now, tend to shift and change.
Oh, okay.
So you can't guarantee that those teeth marks would match because it wasn't taken at the time that the incident happened. See, I have a dog that's 5. I've had her for 2 years, and I already can see a change in her teeth.
Oh, wow.
Part of this is that there is so much that's gone wrong.
But can't they at least confirm that it's dog teeth and not like the back of her car scratch? Do you know what I mean?
Well, Dr. Russell comes in.
Okay.
Dr. Russell was brought in by the defense. Now, here's the kicker. Dr. Russell heard about this case in the middle of trial, the first trial.
Okay.
And she contacted the defense and said, I'm a dog bite expert. I've worked in ER for so many years. I've written thesis on dog bites. I've done this. She's an ex-cop.
Oh, she's the real deal then.
She said she is way high on the chart of qualifying. She's not only has she worked in the ER for buku years, she's been a training physician, a teaching physician. She's been a head of the ER staff. I mean, she's like way overqualified.
Right.
The prosecution saying she's not qualified at all. And the defense is like, dude, what do you think? And so she comes in and they do her for a dire, and then they allow her to testify. She is well overqualified, and she said these are dog bite.
Bite. Yeah, the marks. Yeah.
One of the things is the dog does a puncture, and on the back of a dog's tooth, see the front like this is smooth. On the back, if you notice, is kind of comes to more of a slight point in the back of a canine, those are sharper. The younger they are, the sharper they are, because the back of the teeth kind of comes, it kind of looks like an oval with a little ridge. That's where the sharpness comes to tear the beef.
Ah.
But as they age, it gets less sharp, just like our teeth, that wears down. But there's a puncture and a drag. Not super deep. It's not like it's a full-on bite and rough and all the skin comes off, because he had shirt on and there's movement, but there's a puncture and a drag. With the tail light, it can have a puncture, but it's not going to be that shape.
Right. And I don't understand how they're saying it could be, because if the taillight was smooth, like, and they're saying he rammed his elbow into it to get the marks?
Yeah. Now, let's
Okay.
think about this. If you have something about this big and your elbow goes in it, you're not going to have marks coming from here to here.
Right.
It's too deep.
Right.
Only that deep. What you would have is marks all the way around here.
Right.
He has no marks on the inside of his elbow. Everything is on the outside, which explains if someone's going to come get you, you go like this to protect, and it bites this way.
Right.
If you hit or anything hits and break a tail light, you're going to have all the way around scratches.
Right.
He doesn't have that. So now they're fighting over whether Dr. Russell will be permitted in the second trial.
Okay. I think I saw some of Dr. Russell's testimony. I didn't see what came of it. And I know you said there's a hearing tomorrow, right? Is it also about Dr. Russell's testimony, or letting?
No, because the last week we were having a motion hearing and they were just doing motion. I call her Auntie Bev. I don't want to give her the honor of being called Your Honor or Judge. By the way, just so you know, there's a conflict of interest with Auntie Bev.
Oh,
You asked me about some of the drama, so we'll go ahead and hit that.
okay.
Auntie Bev was at a wedding with the family of the McCabe family.
Oh. And she won't recuse herself, right? I've seen multiple times they want her off.
No.
Defense wants her yeeted. No.
Y'all, there's a petition going around. Go sign the petition. So she won't. But Auntie Bev was listening to motions, and the prosecution came up and said, well, Your Honor, we have some evidence that was provided to us by the FBI, and for the reason I can't think of the company, that the defense was having communications with one of the companies that was hired by the FBI. Now, understand the FBI have gotten involved in this, but the jury doesn't know the FBI is involved, but they know another agency or organization did some investigation. And the FBI had sent both the defense and the prosecution some, not all, some of their results of some of their investigation, like the accident recreation and things like that.
Yeah.
So one of the people from that company was communicating with the defense attorneys about testifying. Now, in the first trial, the defense attorney asked under oath to that person, we didn't pay you. You've never spoken to us about your testimony. We don't know you. You were hired by another organization. Correct. Now, the prosecution last week said that not only did they have evidence of communication prior, now, it was very vague. There was nothing specific said about the testimony. It was kind of like, well, I understand what's going to happen, yada, yada, yada. But it did state that they had paid him.
Oh.
But it's different. Now it is different. Understand, paying you for the service is one thing. Paying for your expenses at the time of trial, money may not have crossed hands, but after trial, they may have a prior to trial agreement that you're going to pay for airfare, hotel, and yada, yada, yada while I'm testifying.
Right.
That agreement may be had, but the payment may not happen until after trial. So all of this pissed off Auntie Bev. She took a break pissed. She comes back shaking, physically shaking and very either pissed or nervous. Well, during that break that took over 20 minutes, that should have only taken a few minutes, the motion for the defense, they had a motion to not try her on count 1 and 3 because the jury said they didn't find her guilty on count 1 and 3. Only count 2 where they hung. And so they're fighting the mistrial. That motion has been filed at a federal level now.
Okay.
And there's evidence that Auntie Bev did some things wrong.
I'm not surprised.
So
She's like, I feel like she's too. Oh, go ahead.
No, all of this drama about what I just said is going to hit tomorrow.
Ah, okay. I think the organization is ARCA, right? Is that what you ARCCA? Yeah, I knew it was a bunch of initials. I just Googled that. Multidisciplinary Engineering Consulting Firm.
So ARCA witness and the defense had some emails back and forth. But when Auntie Bev comes back into the courtroom, pissed and shaking, the prosecution gets up and said, "We're sorry, Your Honor. I misspoke. The defense gave us this evidence in discovery."
In discovery?
He blamed the feds. He said the feds gave the evidence to them, when in fact it was given to them by the defense in the evidence exchange. They were like, "Here you go." It's crazy.
Did her head spin off into the ether? Did Auntie Bev lose it?
She was losing it before. So I suggest you go back and watch.
All right. So the Commonwealth just provided the court with information that causes me grave concern. The implications of that information may have profound effects on this defense and defense counsel. So for that reason, I'm going to suspend today so that when we meet again to address these issues, all affected will be appropriately prepared. So I'll see you a week from today at 11 o'clock in the morning. You can tell me now if that is impossible for you. And where Mr. Brennan, where the federal authorities have been kind enough in the past to allow me to have copies of everything, would you be kind enough to call over there or check with whomever you were dealing with to see if I can in fact get a copy of everything that you just read?
I can, and there's a brief chronology I think Your Honor should be aware of. If I could add that right now, it would take me less than a minute. The chronology is December 4th, we sent another tour request, 2024. January 6th, we filed our notice of intention to exclude ARCA experts. January 30th, 2025, the United States Attorney's Office sent a response to both ours and the defense requests. Without any prompting, on February 6, 2025, the defense and the prosecution received an email from the U.S. Attorney's Office saying that the contract had ended with the ARCA experts and that if either party wanted to engage, the original materials are still protected. This was a change in position about whether a party could engage. On February 11th, we filed the motion to exclude. February 13th, the defense provided us the emails that I read. February 13th, 2025, I think I said the federal government. It was the defense. February 13th, 2025, they sent us the emails and the direct examination outline. We reached out to the federal government again because I was curious about the change in position on February 6th, that the contract has ended, but that parties could contact ARCA. Obviously, the Commonwealth is in no position to contact ARCA because that would naturally preclude the defense from retaining them. So we've refrained and we will not reach out to them.
All right, so the information that was provided to you, not from the federal government, I'd like a copy of before you leave the courthouse today.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, 11 o'clock a week from today. Are all parties available at 9 on the 26th?
I'm not.
Ma'am, just a moment.
Thank you.
I will. I'll have to,
Or
yeah.
you don't want to watch all of it, fine, but go watch that last half hour.
I want to see her shaking. Yes.
Oh, she was. You could hear it in her voice. You could hear it in her voice.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you've touched on the evidence. I know part of everything with the drama, there's evidence collected in solo cups, mind blown. Leaf blowers are being used to collect or to help with the evidence. There's like fragments of her tail light, Karen Reed's tail light being found like a long time after the incident. What is happening?
Okay. So when John O'Keefe is found in the snow, his back of his head was bleeding and bled into the snow, and there were drops of blood in the snow. Now, mind you, I'm going to blow your mind even more in a minute. Mind you, there was some blood coming out of his nose, his ears. So when you're laying down, everything goes gravity, so it's in the snow. They didn't have anything to collect it. So they
don't have a crime scene unit.
God, if I know. So what do? They go across the street to another PD officer for another department. I think he's another department, but he is a PD, like chief or captain, and said, we need to collect this. And he hands them the red Solo cups. I'm like, holy crap. Okay.
It was a captain?
It was someone high up.
Like some big muckety muck was like, here, use.
Yeah, some muckety muck, either Boston or I think it was Boston. I may be wrong, but he's a PD. Guys, let me educate you real quick. Anytime there is snow and blood, they're not going to collect it. An evidence person, and I have a dear friend who actually is a PD evidence person and has been a CSI, and she's very, very skilled. She's been in it for many years. So we sat down and I show her this, and to watch her jaw hit the keyboard was priceless. She goes, why even collect it? It's contaminated.
Right.
It's useless. If it's on the forehead, on the clothes, fine. But in the snow, it's useless. It's contaminated. And in a red Solo cup. And they didn't have anything to put the cups in. They scooped the snow in blood into the cups and put the cups, you won't believe this, they didn't have a bag. So somebody grabbed
oh my God,
Stop and Shop paper bag from a gas station and they put it in this bag. They didn't seal it. They didn't put the red tape or evidence tape. They didn't initial it, didn't do any of that. And they leave it in the back of the vehicle, and then they take it, and they have photos of them when they're turning it over to another agency. They are standing in the Sally Port, which is like a garage, on a floor mat covered in grass and crap from melted snow with the bag sitting on this mat. I mean, there's no control, no sanitization, nothing. It
nothing.
Is redneck as redneck is.
Oh my God.
I'm a Tennessee redneck. You know, I'm a mountain hillbilly, so I can say it, but it is as primal as you can get and so horrible. And then they decided they needed to look for other evidence, but they didn't know what to do. Someone had the audacity to call this a smart idea, and he drove to his house and got a leaf blower. I'm like, dude, this leaf blower has been used in your yard, and it sucks air in, blows air out. And when you're leaf blowing, it's sucking dirty air in. And so you just blew dirty contaminant all over the snow. I was like,
Why a leaf blower? What did they think they were accomplishing? Like who?
They were trying to blow the snow to not disturb what was underneath the snow, looking for taillight or other evidence.
Oh my goodness. Oh my. They're
Oh,
like the laughing stock because I feel like even us as like true crime fanatics, we know like evidence has a chain, everything has to be sterile. Like we wouldn't show up and do that. And here they are law enforcement officers and they're doing it. And some big
they're
money.
CSI.
Oh, these were CSI people?
I mean, some of them were.
Where was their normal kit? Did they explain like why they did it this way and didn't wait for like they didn't?
So, number one, crime scene. It was a blizzard. And so putting up a tape around was a futile attempt in their mind. Putting a tent over where John O'Keefe was and preserving it and stopping the rain and everything, that wasn't even done. Nothing was done to truly preserve the scene.
Wow.
And on top of that, now we have delay of evidence discovery. So the rear taillight fragments. Now, by the way, they allowed Karen Reed to leave the scene.
Wait, I thought she was at home. She came to this. Wait.
Yeah. Oh, wait. The way she's the one that found the body with Jennifer McCabe and one other person. They found the body. He was doing.
She woke up. She was looking for him. She went back to the McCabe house. Okay.
Right. And she was doing CPR when the first officer showed up, and the other two women were just standing there like, yeah. Jennifer McCabe is a big one in this trial. So, after his body was taken by the ambulance to the hospital trying to revive him, she left the scene with the two women. She came with Jennifer McCabe and I think it was Nicole Alberts, but I could be wrong, or it was Julie Albert. But she comes back to she leaves the scene. One of the women calls the PD or 911 and said that Jennifer is saying that she's suicidal, wants to unalive herself. They told her to bring her back to the scene.
Was that consciousness of guilt? Consciousness of guilt?
Well, see, she's accused of saying to Jennifer McCabe, and nobody said anything. It wasn't reported until Jen opened her mouth. Could I have killed him? Did I kill him? Did I hit him? Now, understand, I have been around people who've been in accidents, who have unalived as a chaplain, first responder, firefighter, EMT, all that. When you're there and you have a disaster like this, and the victim's family or the person that was with them all of a sudden start replaying all the scenarios in their head. Oh. Could I have accidentally hit him? Could I have accidentally done something? All of them had been drinking that night heavily.
Because they went to 2 bars, then they went to the McCabe home and drank some more.
Yeah, while their minor children were provided alcohol for a birthday party while they were out partying. Oh, it gets deep.
Oh.
So they're using that against her as a confession. And I got to be honest, I'm like, I would have been the same way. Could he been coming to the side of the car and I accidentally ran him over and not realizing with all the snow and I would have.
Right. I mean, I think a lot of us have had that night of drinking and something went wrong. And the next morning we were like, was I a part of that? What did I, like trying to recall? I think that's natural.
Possibly. Could I have possibly? So she was frantic. And so they were trying to use that against her. So she leaves. They tell her to come back. They section 12 her, put her in the ambulance and force her to go to the hospital under a section 12.
What's a section 12? Like she's crazy or
a self-harm watch. It's like it's like when you're wanting to self-harm and they detain you for your protection.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Section 8 is what I was thinking of. Remember in MASH, when Klinger was trying to get out on a section 8? That's crazy. Okay.
Colonel Potter, sir. Corporal Klinger.
I'm Section 8, head to toe. I'm wearing a Warner bra. I play with dolls. My last wish is to be buried in my mother's wedding gown. I'm nuts. I should be out. Horse hockey.
Yeah, that's a psych. That's a psych.
Okay.
Yeah. So the rear tail light fragments were found not just that instant, but up to a couple weeks later. So the defendant pointed out that there were no taillight evidence that was found on the initial search, on the original search. The fragments were discovered later, and that's what's part of the problem, because the chief, I think, or one of the higher ups of Canton PD was driving down the street over a week later. And from the street, he says he saw a piece of the taillight and he pulled over and got it while other agencies were there looking. I mean,
how do they validate that that's even that? The crime scene wasn't secure?
Yep.
How does he know it's...
And do you know what? There was hours between when he passed and when they processed the crime scene fully, and they did not leave a person there to guard the crime scene. They left it back. Yeah.
And you said they didn't search the house. Did they ever get a search warrant? Are the McCabe's wealthy? I saw the house. I mean, all houses look big to me. I live in Manhattan. There are no houses here. But you said Auntie Bev was partying with them. Like, are they kind of...
They had a wedding. Families have been at weddings together. The house officers came in and spoke to Brian Albert and Nicole, who said they didn't hear a thing. They didn't see a thing. They slept through the whole thing. They woke up when Jennifer ran into their room.
So they were passed out, I think we can say. They were, was it the drink?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they did speak to some of them together and in separate rooms, but they didn't search the house. They're claimed to be a glass that they accuse of, I think Jennifer and then John had it. Excuse me. Karen Reed took a glass of alcohol from the first bar to the second bar. Then they're saying that John O'Keefe had that glass. And they said that they got in the fight out. I mean, it's like I said, there's 30 rabbit holes per section here.
Oh my God.
Right? So there's a lot. But here's the other thing. When they had an evidence bag in court that opened up with pieces of glass, they said there was like 2 pieces and there was 4 pieces in there. I mean, don't hit me on the numbers. They didn't even have the correct number of pieces of evidence in the evidence bag in court.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Did defense hire their own crime scene investigator? Did they have anybody to like refute or rebut what the state said? They did. Okay.
And guess what? It was one of the Canton PDs, and he did the most horrible job in the world. That he was mocked like crazy. I'd have to go dig through 70 witnesses to find him. That was a joke.
Wow.
Joke. He said that she backed up 64 feet at 25 miles an hour in the snow under control and hit O'Keefe. I took my car, which is about almost just tad smaller. I went to a school parking lot on a rainy day and I backed up at 25 miles an hour. It took more than 64 feet. And I've had training. I can drive a fire truck in all kind of weather. And it's still virtually impossible to do that short a distance unless you are super skilled in that kind of weather. It just doesn't compute.
Right.
It just doesn't fit.
Yikes.
Everybody's going crazy about that.
Okay. So we have all of the, mishandling, I'll be kind, mishandling of the evidence, right? And I think that's what has gotten a lot of people's attention for those like me who haven't followed every second of this case. So there's a lot of people on the internet, we're poking in, but then there's the hardcore Karen Reed fanatics. And you just mentioned she lost her job, that is very unfortunate. But I know there are people who are donating to her legal fund. Or can you talk to us about kind of all of the free Karen Reed fans?
She didn't only lose her job. She had to sell her home and move in with her parents.
For her legal defense?
Her parents have liquidated almost everything. Now, her attorneys individually said in an interview, their personal fees are not being charged because it's gotten so bad and so expensive. So the experts, the testing, all of the paper, excuse me, all of the paper, all the filings, all of the expenses paying their staff is being paid. But the lawyer fees themselves, they've not yet charged and don't plan on it. They believe in her that much. So that's a lot of money. But Karen Freed movement really gained a big significance when rallies started. They were small and they were people just locally, but it grew. And then people from Massachusetts, Tennessee, Michigan, now it's national, are coming to these trials or the court motion hearings, and they're standing outside saying, "Free Karen Reed, free Karen Reed." They all believe she's innocent, but here's the kicker. We have someone by the name of Turtle Boy, that Aiden Carney is the one that got this national attention. He is a controversial blogger who runs the TB for Turtle Boy Daily News. He became involved basically just by covering it. He was just covering the trial, became an advocate, and became friends with them. Now, the coverage and the advocacy of Turtle Boy has been very vocal about her innocence and the victim's cover-up, to the point he's brought up another case that happened years ago with the same people involved that was declared a self-unaliving, and she was having intimate relations with a police officer and got pregnant. So this trial has sparked a reinvestigation of an old trial, thanks to the publicity and everything.
Wait, so I just want to make sure I understand. So they said that she unalived, like she committed suicide. We're far enough in, but now they're thinking that
she
didn't. Police were okay. That the police murdered her basically, and they covered it up.
And she was murdered, and it's a cover up. So the problem is Turtle Boy has drawn in so much attention to this case. Now the Canton PD have gone after him, and now he has legal issues. He was arrested and charged with witness intimidation and allegedly harassing witnesses in this case. He's also been accused of working with a police dispatcher to illegally access and monitor vehicle data. The problem is this has brought a lot of negative attention now to Karen, as well as positive attention. He's very aggressive. He's very mouthy. He is very in your face. I sometimes don't like some of the words he uses, but if you look at what he's saying is true.
Okay.
And he was on the street in front of one of the witnesses' homes, like the news media, right? For example, if you commit a crime and the news media wants to park in the street and film your house and say, this is the person who did XYZ, they can legally do that.
Right.
On the property. If they do, you tell them to leave. If they don't, now it's illegal. Nor can they block your driveway, your egress exit. Okay. Well, he's being accused of harassing and stalking, doing the same thing.
But he's a blogger, right? He is basically media because he has a website and does he have a lawyer? Is he okay? Okay.
He's been to a lot of hearings. They're trying to, so it got so bad that when he was sitting in court, he is a media pass. He's sat in the first trial with the Karen Reed family.
Oh, wow.
And when certain witnesses came to the stand, they have a restraining order. He has to stay so many feet away from them. Well, they've come into his bubble. He was walking down the street with his girlfriend going to go eat, and they aggressed him.
Oh.
And he filmed the whole thing. He goes, "You want to talk about harassment? Here's harassment, babe. Go watch it." Okay. But so the prosecution set forth the motion during trial stating, excuse me, there's a restraining order, so he can't be in the courtroom when this person testifies. And they kicked him out of the courtroom when that person testified. Yeah. I'm like, because He's intimidating and they're terrified to speak in front of him.
Wow.
It's insane.
So he's become a character in all of this, basically. Are people raising money for her? Like the free Karen Reed? I mean, it sounds like she's not in a good place financially because they're draining her.
Oh, they have already drained her. They have drained her to the point that she said in an interview on TV recently, I think it was TV, that she has had a lot of donors donate hundreds of thousands of dollars. If people donating $1 to $5, she goes, I used to write thank yous to everybody, but I can't anymore. She goes, that $1 is just important as $1,000. And she said a majority of her supporters are her ex-coworkers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for her. Yeah, because it almost feels like that's a tactic to drain her of her financial resources to get her to like either, you said there was no plea, but maybe to try to negotiate. Do you know what I mean? Because who among us would have these type of resources to keep fighting?
I don't think they want a negotiation. Sorry if I spoke over you. We got a delay. I think they want that guilty so bad. It's like, I tell people it's like this. It's a rabid pit bull on raw meat. And the DA is not going to let go of that. They're not going to let go. The problem is a part of the motion on the defense over them, the double jeopardy. That's what I was looking for. The double jeopardy law or rule is it's also put such a hard financial burden on her that she herself cannot really support a defense anymore. And it's double jeopardy on counts 1 and 3. Because the jurors, 5 jurors came forward after trial, sworn affidavits that everybody found her not guilty on the murder and the third charge. Okay. But the second charge that they found her, that they were struggling with, was a lesser one. And that was because she was drunk or she had been drinking and driving. Whether she was drunk or not, we don't know. That's another, her alcohol levels is another bone of contention in the trial.
Did they test her? Did they test her alcohol?
Hours later. And here's the thing. She has Crohn's disease. And she would take whiskey and 7-Up or water, whatever, and dilute it and drink it. And they said she had 4 of them within a certain period of time. I'm a super featherweight. If I drink anything, I'm asleep in 30 minutes. I do. The moment I drink wine on it. And so,
oh my God.
But also, her body processes alcohol different because of her digestive system issues and everything else. So there's a lot into this. We can talk for 10 hours and not cover everything. But the biggest thing for me is this shouldn't even gone to trial because of the inadequacy of the evidence. They just don't have what they need to take this to trial. And the fact that it's going for a second trial, to me, is crazy. And of course, the SJC, which is the Supreme Justice of the Court of Massachusetts, upheld Auntie Bev's denial of the motion for the double jeopardy. But when you read it, what they say and what was submitted, it's not matching up.
Okay.
So counts 1 and 3 were found by the 5 jurors not guilty. Now, the 7 other jurors, and this was said in the motion, this has been so publicized and this has been so all over the media that if the other 7 jurors did not agree with the 5 that came forward, then
they would have said something.
Would have said, hey, no, that isn't what happened.
Right.
So they're saying they should have pulled the jury.
It sounds like a lot of ego, like ego on the Commonwealth, bringing it, ego on Aunt Bev. But then it's like poor Karen, like fighting, just being in limbo. Do you know what I mean? And kind of being at their mercy. There's a lot. I mean, and I know we only booked an hour, so I don't want to keep you. But what should we expect next? Like I think you said there's a hearing tomorrow. There's some other things going on. Like, let us know, like what's happening next.
Okay. Real quick. The first trial, the jury came back and said, we're at an impasse. They sent a note to the judge. The judge pulled both prosecution and defense, everybody in but the jury, read the note, said, what do you think you should do? What do you think we should do? We bring the jury in. We're asking you to go back and do it again. Then they send a second one, said, we're at an impasse. So they Bev gets the note. She reads it out loud in front of everybody again, prosecution, defense. They all talk about it. They bring the jury in and they send them back in, said, go back and do it again. The problem is the third time they send a note, Auntie Bev reads it, brings the jury in, reads it out loud for the first time in front of the jury. The defense and the prosecution have no idea what's coming. And they said, we're at an impasse. And she goes, I'm not going to make you do any more. This is a hung jury. We're done. And she sent them out without giving opportunity for the prosecution or the defense to chime in.
So that's why they didn't poll them, right? Because I did read that they didn't poll, and that seemed to be a sticking point for the Supreme.
Right. Well, here's the other issue. Turtle Boy had one of the jurors come on, and he said they were just stuck on a lesser on count 2 because they felt that because she was drinking and driving, she deserved to have something. And it's like, that's not what you're here to do.
Right.
He said the form was confusing because it said, fill out this form when you have reached a verdict on all accounts. So they didn't fill out count 1, not guilty, count 3, not guilty, count 2, hung. They didn't do that. And Bev didn't ask them for that, which she should have done. So that is where all that's coming from. Moving forward tomorrow, God only knows what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm going to be honest. Metadata and video evidence, we don't have time to go over it, but that's a huge bone of contention in this trial. The federal court's appeal, that's where we're at right now. The trial's supposed to start on April Fool's Day, April 1st of 2025. I don't think they're going to make it. I think the federal court of appeal is moving fast and have asked questions, and they are involved at this point. So they are looking at the cited double jeopardy concerns. It is a chance that the trial may not move forward start on April 1st. Oh. It is not clear if Karen Reed will testify. She says that's a last minute decision, just like last trial. She will make, her and her team will make based on what's happening. But who's going to testify? Y'all, I believe the majority of every one of these people in this book are going to testify. I have a massive list. The big testifying person is going to be Brian Albert, Proctor, and Kevin Albert. And we have one of them. Oh my gosh, I'm brain cramping. Who is it that's been brought up under investigation and been released from the department? I think it's Brian Albert. Chris Albert is a selectman. He's like a county, and here we call it county council or city council person. So he's a selectman. He's under investigation. Brian Albert's been, Proctor is the big one. Trooper Proctor is under investigation. He's pretty much, his job's on hold and possibly can have other ramifications. So that's huge.
Wait, you think he's going to testify? He seems like a liability.
All of these have testified. He's the one that called Karen Reed the blowhole and is seeing next Tuesday to a group of his friends in a text, high school friends. And he was texting his high school buddies that she's going to be the one that's going to get it. They asked if Brian was going to get in trouble, and they said, no, he's a PD officer. And he said, we're going after Karen. He's given all this information out to people that aren't even allowed to have it in the middle of an investigation. And that's what he's in trouble for. Yikes. He even talked about how she was cute, but didn't have a butt.
Oh my God. He's giving oomph to the term massholes. He's just want to personify it for us.
What I call a royal asshole. And so this is the thing. What I expect to see a lot of the same witnesses, but it's going to be interesting because we have a new special prosecutor, Brennan, who is trying this case and not Lally. And so this is going to be a whole nother trial. Some people are going, I don't want to watch this trial again. And I'm like, dude, watch this trial because it is not going to be the same trial as what was before. It is going to be a whole different tone. They will have a lot of the same witnesses. They will have new. Karen Reed, in her defense, said they've got some new evidence and new witnesses. So it is going to be worth your time and your buck to watch it, because there's so much I haven't even said that you're going to be sitting here. All of us, this last trial, were like this. I mean, we really were. Now, unfortunately, I will not be note taking during this trial. I will have American Sign Language interpretation. So I'll be interpreting, and then in the afternoon, my interpreter will come on. So it's going to be a little bit fun on my end, but this is going to be the trial of, this is like the O.J. Simpson trial, second time.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so people can tune into you. You'll be signing with it live on your, and it's A to K is your channel. I'm going to put it in the description, but I want to make sure everybody is clear where to find you.
Well, I hope you follow the trial. It's really hard for some people who work all day, and this trial is a 9-hour day trial. So I'm hoping to start doing recaps after the trial's done for the day. I will do a recap as much as I can. Understand, even if you just skim through it at night, you're going to catch so much of this. Honestly, my prayer is that the federal courts come in and put a stop to count 1 and 3, and that she's just tried on the lesser, or count 2. If counts 1 and 3 cannot be tried on, she wins. Say she wins this, which is, I would say, 30% chance at this point, then I don't know if there will be another trial.
Hopefully not. I feel like it's a waste, but obviously she's got to have some sort of ending to this, right? And they're coming after her. So hopefully they will step in and say, enough is enough.
I'm really proud of her. In her interview, she said that no matter what happens, if she has to go to jail, she will continue to fight for the justice for John. But this has shed light on other cases of corruption in this department. And now this whole department is being looked at. And she has got such a good attitude. I didn't really know much about her, but after watching the interviews and looking and listening, I really appreciate her attitude. I appreciate her analytical mind and how she's helping her attorneys fit through this. So she's really what they call the ideal, perfect defendant to work with. And that's going to go far for her.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. So I think, it's a lot for her that she's had to process. Not only did her boyfriend die, but then she's accused of the murder. Then you have all of this like chaos around it, right? Like the solo cups, just a crazy prosecution to start out with. And now hopefully the appellate process works in her favor and she doesn't have to go forward. I just want to remind the viewers that Canton is also the same police department where Sandra Birchmore was a cadet and pregnant and ended up dead, murdered allegedly by her cop boyfriend / cadet instructor. So there's some corruption there. There's definitely, this is one of the cases that's showing that. So hopefully we'll get some reform,
Yeah. Well, your fingers do the walking while I'm doing the talking. So thank you so much for doing that. It's just so many names. I mean, by the way, Brandy at the 13th juror.
Yes.
I have to give this. You guys can get this from her site.
Oh my God. Is that a Brandy Churchwell chart?
That is a Brandy chart. I had to show it because that's not right for me not to tell you where I got it. This was the first trial, full big trial like this that I covered. And I was like, I got to have something. Too many Bryans, too many Alberts, too many McCabe's.
Yes.
Go to Brandy's. Please, if you can put that link in so you
I definitely.
It's going to, and there's a ton of exhibits and charts and graphs and diagrams that's going to help you a whole lot understand.
Yes. And Brandy also has
something to do with the cell phone. The cell phone data said he was going up and down stairs and it's crazy.
Wait, who was going up and downstairs? Proctor? Or no, John O'Keefe. Okay.
His phone movement and all of that. It's crazy. So wanted to give a shout out for Brandy because she has really done a phenomenal job. And we thank you for those resources. And that's what's great. We share them.
Yes. I will definitely link her channel down below, her podcast, because I know she's got one dedicated to the Karen Reed. So I will link that down below. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I appreciate you.
I wanted to let you know that the Simpson trial in San Antonio, where the guy unalived his wife, but they can't find her body, it's starting to be a big thing on YouTube. I'm going to start covering his trial just like Brandy did, because the courtroom will be closed to cameras, but I'm going to be going to that trial.
Oh, exciting. Okay, we'll have to check in with you on that. Then you'll be on the ground, boots on the ground.
My first time.
Very cool.
Thank you so much, Tanika. You have been a blessing. I've enjoyed our time together. And everybody, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you for being here with us. Everybody go and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. I'll put her information down below. Highly recommend. I hang out some days when you're covering trials, and I always have a good time over there. So I definitely enjoy your channel. All right, everybody. I will talk to you guys later. Thanks. Toodles. Bye.